DJ Lagway can help the Florida Gators offense take a huge step in 2024.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Happy Monday. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, and I'm a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm a big fan of classic Monopoly as well. I love playing it. I know it takes forever. That's the fun part of it. Join your friends and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. And like I said, I do think that DJ Lagway can help the Florida Gators offense take a big step in 2024. And no, I don't mean to start DJ Lagway. Nipping that one in the bud right now. I just want to, because I know that every time I mention DJ Lagway, it's like, oh, just start him now. No. How about no, Scotty? We're not going to do that. However, I do think that DJ Lagway brings a new element to the offense that everybody can acknowledge and accept and say, yeah, like that's a good thing to have in your offense with his dual threat ability. Specifically, look at what the option game can do for the Florida Gators offense when DJ Lagway is on the field, because I do believe that he will have packages where he's actually going to come onto the field for at least a few plays a game. Maybe, every few drives we get one DJ Lagway drive, whatever it may be. But for DJ Lagway, like I look back to 2022, the Florida Gators' first year under Billy Napier, the Florida Gators' only year with Anthony Richardson as their starting quarterback. Whether you're talking about the Utah game specifically, which was an awesome game there, no matter what game you're talking about, whether it's Tennessee, whatever, you look at those games and you look at what the run game looked like with Anthony Richardson, and it looked different than what the Florida Gators run game looked like in 2023. And it's not just as simple as, oh, the offensive line was better in 2022. Because the offensive line was better in 2022. But also, we saw way more of those option runs that we don't see with Graham Mertz. Because Graham Mertz just, I will say this also, I think that he's got enough athleticism to at least be a little bit of a threat. You're on 3rd and 2. You want to run the ball, pick up the first down. You can run the option, and either someone doesn't protect for Graham Mertz, which I wouldn't expect them to, and Graham Mertz can pick up the first down there, or you hand the ball off to one of your running backs that you trust and have faith in, right? With Anthony Richardson in 2022, you look at what the option game looked like, and I keep going back to the Utah game. That Utah game, they were just like, all right, we're just going to run the option, run the option, run the option, run the option, and it kept working. When you have someone with Anthony Richardson's athleticism, DJ Lagway's dual threat ability, I don't consider DJ Lagway the same caliber athlete as Anthony Richardson, because guess what? The caliber of athlete that Anthony Richardson is has never existed at quarterback. It hasn't. Look at the relative athletic score, a perfect 10.00 for Anthony Richardson. He is, athletic testing wise, the most athletic quarterback that's ever played football. And so you look at that dual threat ability, and in the option game with DJ Lagway, when you have a quarterback that's a legitimate threat as a rush, not just Graham Mertz with the potential occasional one, but I mean a quarterback that legitimately can run the football and pick up big chunk yardage, that means that you have to run the option, because if you have DJ Lagway there, you can ignore him as a defender and crash down on the running back. Okay. And then DJ Lagway can run past you. Like if they're running the option in the defensive end, the read man here, if he comes crashing down and he's going after the ball carrier, then DJ Lagway can just take off for a chunk play. And I'm not saying that I think that he'll have the the Anthony Richardson's 65-yard rush against Texas A&M or anything like that. But you could still have those long carries, those big first down runs, chunk plays that you could pick up with your legs. However, if you don't want to give up those big carries to your dual threat quarterback that you're facing, that means that you need to keep that edge rusher standing up. He needs to just break down and force the quarterback to hand the ball off. Think about how explosive that Florida Gators rushing attack was in 2022 with Anthony Richardson there. And again, it wasn't as simple as their offensive line was better in 2022, because it really wasn't just that. It was that you were forcing the defense to play down a man against their run fits because you could just hand the ball off. And guess what? Most defenses have 6 defenders in the box, right? 6 defenders in the box with their 4 front, 2 off-ball linebackers, maybe your slots in there, whatever it may be. But if you're not blocking an edge rusher and he's standing up and defending the quarterback, and then you hand the ball off, you have your 5 offensive linemen, you have at least one of your tight ends, because we know Billy Napier, you have at least one of your tight ends against now 5 defensive players, most 6. So you're at worst even numbers-wise. That's not accounting for if someone on the defense takes a bad route. That's not accounting for if your running back makes a man miss or runs through a tackle. That's where the explosive runs come back from. You look at 2022 Anthony Richardson and the Florida Gators rushing attack, and a lot of those big, long runs came on the option game, because you have to respect your quarterback as a rusher, which means you're now playing down a man in the box. And that was where the Florida Gators rushing attack was so explosive. Because you think about it, the offensive line did get worse, but also Montreal Johnson looked better, right? When he was just able to go, okay, just give me the ball and make the read, and then there's not anybody crashing down from my side. Whatever it was, the offense was so much better in 2022 running the football there because they could do that. And then you also have to talk about Anthony Richardson, as athletic as he was, as much as I think he was worth the 4th overall pick in the 2023 draft, he was a terrible passer in college. Plain and simple. Just had no accuracy to him. DJ Lagway, I'm not saying can spin it better than anybody else, but I do think that where DJ Lagway is right now as a passer is at worst on par with where Anthony Richardson was in 2022. So if you could give DJ Lagway these simple reads as a passer too, then you're really talking about we can maximize what we get from him. I don't think DJ Lagway can go in there right now, run an offense, and keep it on schedule consistently and on target consistently. I don't think that's a thing he can do. Not a knock on him. He's a true freshman. It's really hard to do that. But if you just tell him, hey, when you come in, we're going to go option game, take a couple deep shots where we're literally just like, hey, run straight, guys, and let's just heave one, which coaches don't really do ever, so don't expect to see that. Or if you go, hey, like you could do PA shot play, but you could also go with the run pass option, the RPO, where DJ Lagway takes the ball, has to read the end man here, and the end man is chasing whatever the option is there, or a linebacker coming down, whoever the read man is. If it's just, okay, take it, and whatever my read is, I'm just going to quickly get it out there, you can do that and create even more big plays. You're trying to create conflict defenders, and DJ Lagway gives you the ability to create those conflict defenders. It's not sustainable for an entire game or for an entire season, but for a couple of plays, for a drive or 2 per game, you can do that and find success. And it gets DJ Lagway valuable playing time experience that makes him more ready for 2025 when he is expected to be the starting quarterback of the Florida Gators, right? So DJ Lagway helps your offense a lot. That's not the only thing you can do to improve this offense. We are going to talk about the tight ends, which we know are a pretty significant part of the Florida Gators offense and will continue to be a pretty significant part of the Florida Gators offense for as long as Billy Napier is the head coach. But first, we're going to get a quick word from Monopoly Go. Guys, I need you all to listen up for this huge announcement. I've been tracking the leaderboards every day, keeping my eye on the scores, putting all my heart into it, and I'm super pumped to announce I'm finally on top. Me, buddy, me, finally on top. That's right. I'm talking about the hit mobile game Monopoly Go. You've heard of it. I know you have. If you've ever listened to the show before, you've heard of it. If you've listened this far into today's show, I talked about it earlier. It's been downloaded over 150 million times, and it's a great mobile twist on classic Monopoly. You can play anywhere, anytime, and you can explore hundreds of Monopoly boards. You start in New York, you can go to Vegas, you can go to New Orleans, you can go to Camelot, you can go to the freaking moon, right? My favorite part is the leaderboards, where you can see who's a Monopoly tycoon and who's gone bankrupt. You hear me, John Ruiz? Just saying. So go get yourself on the charts, download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store and on Google Play. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Now, I said that we were going to talk about other ways for the Florida Gators to actually build their offense and take it to the next level. And I do think that, you know how you can do that? Use the tight ends more. The Florida Gators love 12 personnel. I know that a lot of Florida Gators fans hate 12 personnel. I have zero issues with 12 personnel. The issues that I do have with the play calling of the Florida Gators when they get into 12 personnel is I hate the lack of usage of tight ends in the passing game. Because I understand having them as blockers and keeping them in there, and they help take your running game to the next level. They do. They help your run game still, even though it wasn't great. Without them, it's worse. And even, you want to look at the EPA, whatever it is you want to look at. Florida Gators in 12 personnel, it was pretty good. 12 personnel is cycling back. Because football goes through cycles of we want to spread everything out. We want to condense things. We want to go heavy, whatever it is. Right now, 12 personnel is rising again in football. For Florida, you have Hayden Hansen as your inline guy, and you have Arlis Boardingham as your flex tight end starters. I think that both of them should be used better in the passing game. You look at Hayden Hansen. First off, he's damn near 6'7". Give him the ball in the red zone, please. We watched the Charlotte game last year, and they barely they scored one touchdown, and then it was just a bunch of field goals. You got someone who's 6'7". You got into the red zone a ton of times. Throw the damn thing up to him. He's 6'7", almost 6'7", and in high school he played basketball. He knows how to rebound a ball. Just throw it up. It's ridiculous that some of this stuff is just pretty easy. He's a giant. He can jump, throw the ball up. Treat him like Mercedes Lewis. I don't care. Just let him block in the red zone, throw to him, and let him run up the seam, please. That's the other way that I do think you can really help elevate Hayden Hansen as well. Let him run up the seam. You have a 6'7", almost tight end. He's 270 pounds, something absurd like that right now. And he clocked in 20.3 miles per hour this spring. 20.3 miles per hour at almost 6'7" and 270 pounds. Let him run up the seams, and I dare you to try to stick a linebacker on him. A linebacker turning and running and keeping up with 20 miles per hour? Come on now. And I dare you to try to put a safety on him. Safeties are getting smaller. There were multiple safeties drafted this year that were 5'10", 5'11". Go ahead. Try it. Because linebackers are now the 6'1", 230 guys that used to be safeties are now linebackers. And so now your safeties are people who used to be corners and are moving around. And it's weird and it's cyclical, but it's what we're looking at now. So I dare you to try to keep try to keep a smaller guy that can keep up with him, or try to keep a smaller guy that can actually contest that. It ain't happening. It's just not happening. So Hayden Hansen can help take your offense to the next level, attacking the middle of the field. Okay. We saw what he could do up the field too. There was a stretch last year where he went longest catch, longest catch, longest catch, longest catch. You look at the Florida State game where Max Brown just threw it to him on a rope up the sideline. We've seen the vertical ability against LSU. He had like a 40-yard catch almost. Like we've seen things like that quite a bit from him. Give him the opportunity to do it. And then there's Arlis Boardingham. Arlis Boardingham in high school was a wide receiver / tight end that is still learning how to play tight end at this level. And I think that one thing Florida doesn't do well enough with him is use him in motion. Because Florida, we know you love the condensed sets. We know you love motion. And I get it. Most of the time, you want the motion man to be someone who might actually take the ball on a sweep or pop pass, whatever you want to call it. However, you can go with these condensed sets and make people think like, all right, they're bunching up. And then take Arlis from the left side bunched in, send them all the way out wide to the right. Stuff like that will tell you what the defense is doing. So it's not just about, use Arlis, get the ball in his hands. It's about, because if you have Arlis there and he's going in motion from the left side tight to the line of scrimmage, and he shifts all the way out wide so that he's your farthest out wide receiver on the right, then that's going to help you kind of know if the corner goes with him, then you're going to go, okay, they're probably in zone because they're just shifting everybody. If the linebacker goes with him, you're going to go, okay, or safety, whoever's on him goes with him, you're going to go, okay, they're probably in man because that specific player went with him there. There's tells that you can get there. And you can help, because that'll help not just look at, he's got a corner on him, he's got a linebacker on him in space. This is what they're doing defensively. Graham Mertz can recognize that and then try to think of, okay, who should be open on this play? Who should be my reads here? So you can do things like that help your team go to the next level, help your offense go to the next level. But also Arlis should be thrown to more frequently. And I think I'm relatively low on Arlis Boardingham compared to most Florida Gators fans. It's not a knock on him. I just don't think that he's as massive a mismatch as people like to talk about him as, but he's still a pretty damn good mismatch. Let him work over the middle of the field on a crosser. Let him work on a corner, like running a corner route. Because guess what? If a linebacker's in man on him, linebacker's not catching up with him on corner. Linebacker's not keeping up with him on a corner. And if he's running a corner route, someone on that side of the field should be open underneath. 1. 2, you might be able to try to get the ball between the defenders to Arlis there. Or 3, if he does have a cornerback on him, you should trust Arlis Boardingham to go win that jump ball. There are ways to improve this offense. And you can continue to do that with DJ Lagway, Hayden Hansen, Arlis Boardingham. Like this is one of those areas where we talk about it, the Jimmies and Joes and not the X's and O's. Realistically, it's a combination of them both. I know that people try to use them all. It's like if there's a giant talent gap, then sure. Jimmies and Joes over X's and O's if you're the team above them. If you're the team below, the underdog, then sure, maybe it's your scheme. It's always a combination of the two. But here, Florida can make better use of their Jimmies and Joes, or more specifically, their DJs, their Haydens, their Arlises. Just saying, there's a lot you can do. And also, Arlis should be thrown to more on the slide route behind the line of scrimmage. Just check it down to him in the flat. Let him run. Let him run. Corners, go ahead. Try to tackle him. Corners are getting thinner. Like you look at the draft this year and the past couple of years. There's corners every year that are just so rail thin. The Emmanuel Forbes, I'm pretty sure it was his name, Mississippi State, that went to Washington. You look at the Cam Dantzlers. You look at TJ Tampa this year. There's a lot of thin corners. Put your tight end in space and go, okay, make the tackle thin corner. Do it. I dare you. But we are about to talk about the X's and O's a little bit. But first, a quick word from a couple of sponsors. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, Magic fans. Good game on Saturday night or afternoon-ish, just kicking the crap out of the Cavs. Wild game. It's playoff time in the NHL. Baseball's in full swing. FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Yeah, whether you win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to threes made, rebounds, assists, whatever it may be. Pablo Banchero, a great win on Saturday, but Banchero did not cash my bet. It was very unfortunate. All on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. And remember that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Game Time actually go down the closer that it gets to the first pitch. And I actually decided on Saturday which game sucked. Just want to throw that one out there. But I actually decided on Saturday, kind of last minute, because we were like, we just got engaged. We want to have a little fun, do whatever, celebrate a bit. Decided to go watch the Mets play in the City Connect jerseys against the St. Louis Cardinals. Again, it sucked, but it was fun to just be there. Nice day, nice weather. You could do that with Game Time. They got the best prices, and they're cheap like the day before. You can go. We made a last-minute decision. You could save up to 60% buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever it is. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And I've talked about this before, but when we talk about, Jimmy's and Joe's, X's and O's, whatever it is, the X's and O's for the Florida Gators can improve. And I'm someone who I don't hate the scheme. I am totally content with the scheme. Mostly. Because when you think about the brass bones of this scheme, it's very Shanahan-McVay-esque. Hell, Ricky Pearsall, who played in this scheme, now gets to go play for Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. First round pick, by the way, just saying, which I know. Does that lead to wins? Shut up. But the scheme, when it comes down to the basic principles, is very similar to a Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay offense. As are basically all offenses now. They all come down to similar things. Mostly come down to similar things. Like Dolphins, Jets, Saints. There's so many teams now that do similar things. The Vikings. What I want the Florida Gators to do is shift a little bit. Because all these schemes, they have shifted in different ways. Vikings go under center more than most. The Dolphins have their little cheat motion out wide, and they're all about speed. The San Francisco 49ers focus on spacing, whether that's condensed or going out wide. I said St. Louis Rams. The LA Rams have shifted their approach in the same way that the Florida Gators should shift theirs. And by that, I mean more gap scheme, more power running. Because we've seen Florida last year do pretty well with a lot of these power run games. You look at counter, whether it's just straight up counter with your GT, whether it's your guard and your tight end, whoever it is coming across, we saw Florida find success with that. You look at the Vanderbilt game, Trayon Webb had like a 43-yard run on that. You look at so many games, Tennessee, they ran it quite a bit, and they found success almost every single time. You look at those kinds of games and those kinds of plays, and you go, why don't we do this more often? It makes no sense to not do it more often. We saw some pin pull, which they weren't awesome at last year, but they also tried to do it against Florida State with Hayden Hansen blocking Jared Verse, and that was just never going to work. And it's not a knock on Hayden. That's a first-round defensive lineman. We tried to do it against Missouri. Guess what? That didn't work either because you tried to do it against Darius Robinson, a first-round offensive lineman. Florida tried to do it against really good football players while being undersized or being overpowered, and that wasn't going to work. But you can run this a little bit better now. You've got better guys, and I'm not talking about just counter or pin pull. I'm talking you can run more trap. You can run more power just straight up. You can run so many gap scheme plays that we saw the Rams make that huge transition in one offseason. The LA Rams went from running more zone than anybody else in 2022 to running more gap scheme than anybody else in 2023. A drastic change that I don't think we've ever seen in one offseason, and we saw it, and they found a ton of success doing it. So for Florida, I do think that you could do the same thing. Maybe not go, oh, we're now the most gap-heavy team in the country, but run more of these gap schemes. And I do think that you get helped a lot with the big change that you made of Damian George at guard. Because with Damian George at guard now, there's no reason to not use him to hit the best of his ability. He's not, I want to, this is going to sound a little weird, I think, but I want to be clear about what I'm saying. Use him as a puller on power and trap where he gets to stay on the interior. When he's going, assuming he's going to be the right guard, when he's pulling and he's going between the left tackle and the left guard, or the left guard and the center, and he's trying to just be the lead blocker there, he can be really good. We saw him on counter be really good. When you look at, I think he was the one in the Tennessee game where they both came across the formation and just lit people up, and they sealed the edge, and it was a big run. When he was in that kind of offense, that kind of run game, he found a lot of success. He's terrible in space. He's not agile. He's not fast at all. He's not good in space. You look at the spring game, he wasn't good in space. You look at, I forgot which game it was. I think Florida State, where we watched him run out wide, and it was a screen, and it was just him against the DB, and he just whiffed. He's not good in space. I don't want him in pin pull pulling. Pin pull, you send out wide. I don't want him being used there. Counter, power, trap, hell yeah. Get him out there when he's still keeping it inside the offensive line, inside the tackles, inside the tackle box, whatever you want to call it. But Damian George is someone you can use there and find a lot of success. I think Najee Harris can do it as well. I think Rod Kearney can do it as well. I think there's a lot of options for the Florida Gators if you want to run gap scheme. I think you have a better offensive line to do that than the wide zone that's been your bread and butter for years, Billy Napier, Rob Sale. I think now you're better suited to do that. I think bringing Jonathan DeCoster in from the Cleveland Browns kind of helps you a little bit as well, gives you a little bit of breathing room there. But for the Florida Gators, you've got the personnel to do this better than you had the personnel to do it last year, and you were pretty good doing it last year. So for the Florida Gators, you want to get better in 2024 offensively, use TJ Lagway on any kind of option play. Use Hayden Hanson or Arlis Boardingham in the passing game. And run more gap scheme. Please, I'm begging you. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football for Locked On Gators. I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33. And I will see you all next time.